Hi, my name is Patricia, and I'm here in Copenhagen, and I'm excited to introduce you to Ana Amado, who is part of the Reconstruction of Identities project, which was launched in 2018. And the project focuses on cultural heritage and cultural identity. And Ana Amado won the last year's Instagram call, and she will be telling us more about her series Lideresas. So keep watching.
Hi. Well, I'm really happy to be here with you, and of course, it's a honor for me to share this project with you. And well, my project is called Female Leaders. In Spanish, it's Lideresas, and the project talks about the inequality between men and women, especially when we talk about the positions of leadership. Although great strides have been made, much remains to be done still. And this imbalance becomes more evident when we talk about women that are over 65 years old. So this project aims to return the gaze towards them. And for this, we have recreated iconic images of any area of society. And we have flipped them, we have turned them to provoke a reflection by contrast. And the new protagonists in these new pictures are the Las Lideresas de Villaverde, who are a group of older women from a neighborhood class in Madrid, who together develop activities to seek and give voice to women in society.
Thank you. Lideresas really stands out as a series to me. I mean, the first time I saw it, I thought we were looking at much older photos and maybe even like archival photos. How was it for you to recreate these iconic images?
Well, it was in fact a very interesting photographic practice, in fact. And once again, I was able to verify the great power of the photographic image as a creator of new realities and as means of diffusion and visibility of those realities. And what I found most suggestive led me to develop the project was the fact of subverting the photographic language itself from within by turning its meaning. And as an exercise, it was very enriching. First, searching for images that can work as icons that are universal and very recognizable. Covering the most areas of our society as possible, from politics to art, sports, any area. And that, in addition, they might be repeatable with my means and with almost no budget at all.
Mm.
So there was also the technical part, the lighting, the lenses, finding locations, the tracer, everything. No? But of course, the best part were the photo shootings. Everything was really funny. And thanks to the humor and the know-how of this group of women.
Yeah, and these women who we're seeing in the photos and who you already mentioned, it must have been quite an experience for them too, to sort of step into history in such a concrete way.
Yes, they are really amazing women. I met the lideresas. They call this way, lideresas de Villaverde. Lideresas means female leaders. And I met them like 2 years ago. They are women who have been educated in traditional values. Despite of that, they decide to make time from themselves and developed activities related to studying new technologies and demands for equality. And they met each other in senior centers promoted by the city of Madrid. In that place, they formed this group. and they as a group has a growing echo in Madrid society, in fact, especially through their radio show. So, okay, well, when I met them, I proposed them to develop this project together, and I showed them some of these photos I wanted to recreate. They were not scared at all. They are like used to do new things, no? And they immediately said yes, no, they go ahead. And well, it was very exciting and of course very funny to see them posing as presidents of government, great scientists, great politicians, or any of this role. And I think it was a kind of source of pride for them in a way. And I must say, besides that, they were the ones who get everything we need to develop the shootings. For example, get the ideal locations, so some extra people who might appear in the photos, anything. They were the ones that did everything. So well, I think maybe they learned something about photography, but I learned a lot because I learned about a lot of resources that all the women have because they are used to do that. They are used to manage their lives, to manage the life of the family, sometimes with a lot of imagination and low resources, low, you know.
Yeah.
And another thing I learned a lot with them is once again that this how false is this myth about the lack of sisterhood about among women.
Yeah.
It's false at all, and I saw that between them they have a great union and friendship.
Yeah, and as you sort of mentioned, it's of course fun to see these recreation, and there's a lot of humor and play in your work. But Lideresas also points towards like a greater intersectional problem because not only are women less present in these roles of leadership, but especially the older generation of women. How did you become aware of this inequality?
Well, I think the inequality of opportunities between men and women is evident. In Spain, for example, the salary gap it's still about 25%, and only we have about 10% of women in senior management position. So this is the famous glass ceiling. It's still there. So, and in Spain, in addition, we suffer. I must mention that we have suffered almost 40 years of dictatorship. So this marked the lives of women who are older now. We must realize that they grew up in a socio-political environment in which women were relegated only to their role as mother and wives.
And what kind of reactions have you received when presenting this series? Have people been surprised, or are most people aware of these issues? You're saying they're quite evident.
Well, the project has had so far very well. It was very well received, and it has great diffusion, and I hope it goes on because it is the main goal of the project to provoke the visibility of this problem. But yes, I think people were surprised first to recognize some iconic photographs, but in a second reading, I think they liked this kind of ironic gaze about a serious problem, and they were surprised when they realized that the protagonists of the photos were old women. Yes, I think this was the most important part of the project. This kind of provocation. No? In Spain, I think, well, not only in Spain, I think we are used to see all the women as our grandmothers, and we don't use to consider them as people, as just person who have goals in their lives, and in most of the cases they have given all their time and energy to other people, to their family, their children, or even when they are old, giving all the time to taking care of other dependent people or also. So yes, well, I hope people like it, and so far it seems that it's that way.
Yes, because you are by far the photographer who received the most votes from the public when we did the call. So what do you believe that you can contribute with this like visual statement about the European identity now? Like you're sort of pointing forward by pointing backwards.
Well, yes, if we focus on the image, the picture that won the contest, this picture that shows the fraternal kiss between Honecker and Brezhnev. This picture especially speaks of European identity because it refers to a historical moment of fermentation, not so distant in time. It was in 1979, in the two Europes separated by the Iron Curtain. So it represents then the beginning of a new political panorama in Europe. And then in a second reading, of course, the images speak of the construction of the gender associated identity. And because the picture aims to provoke this reflection by contrast that we have talked. Highlighting especially the historical impossibility of women, and even more in older women, to occupy command posts. So through this image, I propose a constructive criticism somehow about the current situation in Europe, promoting a dialogue against the growing tendency towards disunity and fragmentation in Europe. And while I denounce the serious imbalance that women still suffer today. And I think it's especially convenient to speak of European Union today in this time of this tremendous and unprecedented health and economic crisis because of the virus, the COVID. Because I think the only way that Europe can overcome this situation is being united. I don't think it's possible to the different countries that form the European Union to overcome alone this tremendous crisis. So this is now is especially convenient to talk about the union as the identity of Europe.
Yeah, I think it's a highly relevant criticism to be presenting in this sort of exploration of cultural identity. And I wanted to thank you so much for taking your time to share more information about this really exciting project with us.
Well, I don't know what more can I tell you, but well, one thing that I realized lately because I could make another session of Lideresas project with other women, not in Madrid, but in the south, northwest of Spain, where I come from. And I repeat the sessions using sometimes the same images to repeat them. For example, the Beatles one or even this one I talk about, the keys, and using new ones, new for example, we recreated one picture showing this famous fashion. Now I don't remember the fashion designer, Karl Lagerfeld, for example.
Yes.
If we talk about the fashion world, there we have the same problem. No? We repeated some photos using new old women, and I saw that fortunately this project is universal, so we can do it with any women of any country, and that's a very nice thing for me to check it, to see how it works, and once again it worked really well with these new women. So I hope it repeated in other countries in Europe. It would be really nice for me to get in contact with other group of old women. And in this time, in fact, besides this group of old women, a large group of students, young students, women and men, were helping me to develop the photo session. So this meeting between very young people and older women was really nice and beautiful. So great for me.
Yeah, and that's also what makes this series so powerful, that it's so expandable and it can be used in all sorts of countries, and there are just more and more iconic pictures really you can keep working on and recreating.
Yes, I really hope this project can really grow and be universal and really big and expandable, as you said. And because yes, the final goal is to talk about this, to make this problem visible. So yes, I hope it can continue in the future.
Yes. Yeah, and we're very excited to be presenting it this summer as part of the Reconstruction of Identities. The selected works from the whole project will be exhibited at Sønder Boulevard in Vesterbro in Copenhagen. Yes, and that's so it's a big public exhibition. And if you're watching from abroad, we will link to the project's website and to its Instagram, so you can follow it there too. And thank you so much again, Anna. It was so interesting to hear about the whole process behind this series.
Oh, thank you very much for everything. And it would be a really pleasure and such a honor to be those photos in the streets of Copenhagen. And wow, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.